Welcome to another amazing journey. Please subscribe to the channel, as we need your support to keep creating content like this. Also, don't forget to like and activate your notifications. Now, let's dive into the first chapter. In the glamorous and affluent neighborhood of Beverly Hills, Amara Thompson lives in a mansion that radiates wealth and prestige. At just 22 years old, she is the only daughter of billionaire James Thompson, a successful tech mogul known worldwide. Amara's life, while filled with every luxury imaginable, private jets, expensive cars, and sprawling estates, feels lonely and incomplete. Her father, consumed by his work, is emotionally distant, often absent in her life. Despite having everything money can buy, Amara feels neglected and isolated, questioning her worth in a world that measures value through financial success. She yearns for her father's love and approval but can never seem to break through the barrier his work creates. James Thompson, with his sharp business mind and relentless drive, fails to see the growing distance between him and his daughter. Amara often wonders if she means anything to him beyond the inheritance she represents. As she stands in her lavish bedroom, surrounded by expensive gifts and the comfort of a life many would envy, she cannot shake the feeling of emptiness. At a glance, it would seem that Amara has it all, yet her inner turmoil grows with every passing day. The mansion, which should be a symbol of happiness, has become a prison of isolation and confusion. Amara gazes out of her window at the beautiful city below, her mind a swirl of thoughts about her father's indifference and her uncertain future. What will it take for her to feel truly seen, not for her wealth but for who she truly is? Amara reflects on the duality of her life. On the surface, she is the epitome of wealth, yet beneath it all, she struggles to find her identity. The world perceives her as a privileged heiress, but her skin color separates her from the elite circle she's supposed to belong to. She feels like an outsider, even within her own world. At parties and social gatherings, Amara often notices the curious glances, the whispers, and the occasional sideways glances from others. The wealth that should open doors instead seems to erect barriers. Her internal conflict grows as she navigates a world that sees her only through the lens of her father's fortune. She longs for genuine relationships, but it's hard to find anyone who doesn't see her as a symbol of money. Her best friend Sophia, who has known her since childhood, tries to comfort her by reminding her of the privileges she has. But Amara can't help but feel conflicted. She wants to embrace her identity, but the world keeps trying to define her by her wealth. As the conversation with Sophia continues, Amara begins to question the very foundations of her life. She can't help but wonder if people would treat her differently if they knew she wasn't the daughter of a billionaire. Would they value her for her intellect, her kindness, or her dreams? Or would she still be just another heiress lost in a sea of wealth and superficiality? Amara feels like she's standing on the edge of a precipice, unsure of how to navigate the complex dynamics of her identity and the world around her. She knows she must confront the racism that lurks beneath the surface of her social circles, but she doesn't know where to begin. The more she reflects on her situation, the more confused and frustrated she becomes. The luxury and privilege she's surrounded by are starting to feel like chains, holding her back from discovering who she truly is. Amara decides to visit one of the most exclusive luxury stores in Beverly Hills to purchase a dress for her father's upcoming charity gala. She wants something elegant yet understated, a piece that speaks to her individuality rather than her wealth. As she walks into the high-end boutique, she's greeted by the store's manager, a woman named Laura. Laura, a middle-class saleswoman with a sharp sense of superiority, eyes Amara with suspicion. Her demeanor is cold, and there's an unspoken judgment in her gaze. Laura assumes that Amara, despite her impeccable designer attire, is just another privileged girl who probably won't be able to afford the high-end pieces in the store. She assumes that Amara's wealth is just a facade, a result of her father's status, not her own merit. The saleswoman's attitude becomes more apparent as Amara peruses the racks of dresses. Every time Amara picks up a piece, Laura's thin smile grows more strained. She directs Amara toward the less expensive items, clearly assuming that the young woman can't afford the higher-end designs. Amara tries to maintain her composure, but a sense of unease creeps up on her. The subtle yet insidious judgment stings more than she expected. It's not just about the clothes, it's about being seen as less than worthy, a mere child of privilege who doesn't belong. Amara holds her ground, but the encounter leaves a bitter taste in her mouth. As Laura continues to suggest dresses she deems appropriate for Amara's apparent social standing, Amara begins to realize that the woman's prejudice goes beyond just her outward appearance. It's a deeper, more entrenched belief that people like her, people who look like her, don't belong in places like this. The moment lingers, and Amara feels a deep sense of alienation, as if she's been reduced to a stereotype instead of being recognized for who she truly is. She knows something needs to change, but the experience leaves her feeling powerless in a world that judges her based on appearances. The tension between Amara and Laura builds as Amara tries her best to stay calm, despite the subtle, racially charged judgment in the air. Laura's dismissive attitude only intensifies as she continues to steer Amara toward less expensive dresses, insinuating that Amara doesn't belong in this high-end boutique. As Amara struggles to suppress her anger, she can't ignore the sting of Laura's thinly veiled comments. Laura's tone grows increasingly condescending as she tries to help Amara find something more appropriate, all the while ignoring the higher-end options that Amara actually prefers. Amara, however, begins to sense something deeper in Laura's behavior. This isn't just about clothes, it's about perception, race, and class. Laura's judgment isn't rooted in Amara's apparent wealth, but in a deep-seated prejudice that Amara can't ignore. The moment reaches its boiling point when Laura, in an attempt to subtly insult Amara, comments, "I'm sure people like you have trouble affording this kind of luxury." Her words hit Amara like a slap across the face. Amara freezes, the weight of the racist implication sinking in. A cold wave of realization sweeps over her as she understands what's happening. She's being judged solely on her appearance, her skin color, her body, and the assumptions others make about her because of it. She has been reduced to a stereotype, not seen for her intelligence, her ambition, or her accomplishments. For a moment, Amara contemplates walking out. She feels humiliated, as though the world around her has decided who she is and what she deserves based on nothing but prejudice. But she doesn't leave. Instead, she takes a deep breath, finding a strength within herself that she didn't know existed. In an act of quiet rebellion, she decides to use her father's credit card to make the purchase. She wants to see how Laura will react when the transaction goes through. Amara watches as Laura's face shifts from condescension to shock as the card is approved without hesitation. The realization that Amara is, in fact, who she says she is, someone with wealth and the right to shop at this store, washes over Laura, leaving her visibly flustered. It's an uncomfortable moment for Laura, one that Amara has forced her to confront. But for Amara, it's more than just a victory in this moment, it's a reminder of the power she has to define her own narrative, even when the world tries to write it for her. As Amara leaves the store, the weight of the encounter lingers, but so does the knowledge that she has challenged the prejudice that tried to diminish her. The tension in the boutique is palpable as Amara exits the store, her shopping bag in hand, the echoes of Laura's words still ringing in her ears. Just as she's about to leave, the sound of the door opening catches her attention. She turns, only to see her father, James Thompson, walking into the store. James is tall, imposing, and always exudes an air of authority. As soon as he sees his daughter, he notices the unease in her demeanor and the cool, almost hostile atmosphere around her. Without missing a beat, he strides over to Amara, concern etched on his face. "What's going on here, Amara?" he asks, his voice low, as if he already senses something is amiss. Amara hesitates, glancing at Laura, who is clearly uncomfortable with James's sudden presence. The saleswoman is still recovering from the shock of Amara's purchase, but now there's an added layer of fear in her eyes. Amara, usually reserved, decides it's time to speak up. She recounts the interaction in detail, describing how Laura treated her with disdain, assuming she couldn't afford the clothes. As she speaks, her voice wavers, but her anger is clear. She tells her father how she was made to feel like she didn't belong, how Laura's racist assumptions about her based on her appearance made her feel less than. James listens carefully, his expression growing more serious with each word. Amara can feel her emotions rising, and as she finishes, there's a long, charged silence. Finally, James speaks, his voice cold with anger. "This is unacceptable," he says, his eyes narrowing as he turns toward Laura, who is still standing nearby. "You have no idea who my daughter is, do you?" Laura, caught off guard, stammers, unable to come up with a coherent response. James steps closer, his voice unwavering. "Amara is not just my daughter, she is a person with dignity and worth. And no one, especially in a store like this, has the right to treat her as anything less." His words are sharp, direct, and leave no room for argument. Laura stands frozen, her face pale as she tries to process the weight of what James has just said. The confrontation between James and Laura is intense, and it's clear that James is not just defending his daughter but is also sending a message to anyone who thinks they can judge people based on their race or class. The silence in the store is deafening as James's anger simmers, but he remains composed. He doesn't need to shout to make his point clear, his mere presence is enough to command respect. Amara, watching her father stand up for her, feels a mix of pride and relief. For the first time in a long while, she feels truly seen by someone she cares about, and she knows that this moment will be a turning point for her. As James turns to leave, he looks at Amara, his eyes softening. "We'll deal with this," he says, as if making a promise. Amara nods, feeling a weight lift from her shoulders. The day may have started with a humiliation, but it's ending with the strength of her father by her side. The aftermath of the confrontation at the store is still fresh in Amara's mind as she sits in her bedroom, reflecting on everything that has happened. Her father's support has given her strength, but the experience has left a deep emotional scar. Amara is torn between feeling empowered by her father's defense of her and feeling a sense of shame over the racism she's encountered. She knows that the world is not a fair place, that people like Laura exist, and that they will continue to judge her based on their own prejudices. But at the same time, she feels a surge of anger and determination rising within her. This is no longer just about the incident in the store, it's about something bigger. Amara is beginning to realize that her father's wealth and influence may give her the power to fight back against the injustice she's faced, but it's her voice, her story, and her actions that will make the difference. In a quiet moment of reflection, Amara has a conversation with Sophia, who has always been a source of support. Sophia encourages Amara to use this experience as fuel for change. "You're not just some rich girl, Amara," she says. "You have the power to stand up for what's right. Use your voice. Let the world hear you." Amara listens intently, absorbing the weight of her friend's words. She knows that Sophia is right. This is a pivotal moment in her life, one that could shape her future in ways she never anticipated. She realizes that it's not enough to simply be a passive observer of injustice. If she wants to see real change, she needs to be part of the solution. Amara begins to think about how she can use her privilege to amplify the voices of those who don't have the same opportunities. She decides that she will no longer stay silent, even if it means confronting uncomfortable truths about her own life. The time for action has come. Chapter 7: The Fight for Justice. James's decision to take action against the discrimination at the boutique becomes the focal point of the next few days. Using his vast influence in both business and social circles, James reaches out to his network, putting pressure on the boutique to address the incident and take concrete steps toward combating racism within their company. His voice is heard, and soon, the story begins to gain traction within the media, though some outlets remain skeptical about his motivations. James insists that the store take responsibility, and while they try to downplay the incident, offering a half-hearted apology, he refuses to let them get away with it. He demands that they implement proper training for their employees on diversity and inclusion, to ensure that no one else, especially a person of color, has to experience what Amara did. The store, realizing that this matter is escalating quickly, tries to calm the situation by offering a formal apology to Amara, along with a promise to look into the issue. But Amara isn't satisfied with empty words. She wants to see real change. She knows that the boutique's apology is more about saving face than making an actual difference. This is when James steps in again, using his power and resources to organize a campaign that challenges the culture of elitism and discrimination within the luxury goods industry. As Amara watches her father take a stand, she realizes that this fight isn't just about her, it's about the countless others who have been subjected to similar treatment and never had the means or support to speak out. James's involvement in the campaign draws attention from several high-profile figures who lend their voices to the cause, giving it even more momentum. The fight for justice is now gaining steam, and Amara, empowered by the support around her, begins to find her own voice as well. She speaks out publicly, sharing her story with others and advocating for greater inclusion within the luxury sector. Amara knows that the road ahead will be difficult, but she feels a sense of purpose that she's never experienced before. She's no longer a passive participant in the world, she's an active force for change, and she's ready to take on whatever comes next. The story takes a dramatic turn when a journalist from one of the country's largest newspapers reaches out to Amara for an exclusive interview about her experience at the boutique. The journalist, knowing the significance of the story, pushes Amara to go public with the details of the incident, which could make headlines nationwide. Amara is hesitant at first, unsure of whether she wants to subject herself to even more public scrutiny. But she ultimately decides that her story is worth sharing, and she agrees to the interview. The article is published, and almost immediately, it goes viral. Social media erupts with support for Amara, with people from all walks of life rallying behind her and condemning the discriminatory treatment she endured. The article ignites a nationwide conversation about racial inequality in luxury spaces, and soon, the story spreads beyond the realm of high-end boutiques to include other sectors of society. Activists, influencers, and ordinary people alike take to social media to express their outrage and demand accountability from businesses that perpetuate discrimination. The public outcry leads to protests outside the boutique, and some activists even call for a boycott of the store until it addresses the issue. James, though initially uncomfortable with the overwhelming attention, begins to see the power of media in driving social change. Amara, on the other hand, is both excited and overwhelmed by the sudden public attention. She becomes a symbol for those fighting against systemic racism in the luxury industry and beyond. As the pressure mounts on the boutique to take responsibility, Amara begins to feel the weight of her newfound platform. She realizes that the fight she's joined is much bigger than a single store. It's about reshaping societal norms and pushing for true equality. And while she never expected to become a public figure,
She knows that the moment she took a stand for herself, she also took a stand for countless others who have experienced the same injustice. The story becomes a turning point, not only for Amara and her family but for an entire industry that's been built on exclusion and elitism. It's a fight for justice, and Amara is determined to see it through to the end. As the story continues to unfold in the media, Amara finds herself at the center of a storm. She's no longer just a private citizen, she's become a public figure, a symbol of resilience and strength in the face of adversity. But with the attention comes criticism. While many praise her for speaking out, others label her as a spoiled rich girl who's only fighting for justice because she has the resources to do so. Some say she's using her father's influence to push her own agenda, while others question whether she truly understands the struggles of those who don't have her privilege. The comments, both positive and negative, weigh heavily on Amara. She begins to doubt herself, wondering if her activism is genuine or if she's simply playing a role in a narrative that was written for her. She starts to distance herself from the public image that has been constructed around her. As she does, she starts to seek out mentors, activists, community leaders, and people who have spent years fighting for racial equality, hoping they can help her better understand her purpose in this movement. Amara knows that her journey has just begun, and while the path is uncertain, she's committed to finding her own voice. She attends rallies, listens to the stories of others, and spends time with people who have experienced the same kind of discrimination that she faced. Slowly but surely, she starts to learn what it truly means to be an ally, and she works to build bridges with communities that have long been excluded from the conversation about race and privilege. She realizes that her fight is not just about proving a point or getting justice for herself, it's about creating a world where no one is treated the way she was. It's about dismantling systems of inequality, one step at a time. And while the road is long, Amara is now fully committed to being a force for change. She understands that it's not enough to just speak out, she must act, and she must do so with integrity, honesty, and a deep commitment to justice for all. The culmination of Amara's journey is nothing short of extraordinary. The campaign for racial inclusion in luxury spaces, which was sparked by the injustice she faced, has gained widespread support from both the public and key figures in the entertainment industry. James, now more involved in the social causes that matter to his daughter, joins her in attending charity events and public discussions, showing his full backing of her cause. The high-profile media coverage leads to several luxury brands beginning to reassess their hiring practices and their treatment of people of color, with many reaching out to Amara's team to collaborate on new diversity initiatives. Though the road has been long and filled with setbacks, Amara has found a new sense of purpose, one that is not defined by her wealth, but by the work she is doing to make the world a more equitable place. As she stands at the podium at a major fundraising gala, Amara is not just the daughter of a billionaire, she is a woman who has transformed her position of privilege into a platform for change. Her story, once about a personal experience with prejudice, has become a catalyst for a much-needed conversation about racism, privilege, and power in society. At the gala, she delivers a powerful speech about the importance of representation, equality, and the need for businesses to adopt inclusive practices that reflect the diversity of the communities they serve. She thanks everyone who has supported her and acknowledges the work that still needs to be done to create a truly inclusive society. The moment is both emotional and inspiring, with Amara's voice resonating deeply with the audience. Her father, standing beside her, is visibly proud. Not only has his daughter proven to him that she can use her voice for something meaningful, but she has also shown the world that even the most privileged individuals can contribute to a cause greater than themselves. The chapter ends with a heartfelt conversation between father and daughter, where James expresses how much he has learned from Amara throughout this entire journey. Their relationship, once distant and strained, has evolved into one of mutual respect and understanding. Amara now feels a deep connection to her father, not just as his daughter, but as someone who is helping him grow and challenge his own perceptions of the world. The final scene captures Amara walking out of the gala, her head held high, with her father by her side. The camera pans up to the night sky, symbolizing hope, progress, and the promise of a future where justice and equality are no longer just aspirations, but a reality. As Amara's journey unfolds, she knows the fight is far from over, but she also knows that her voice matters. And with the support of her father, her community, and countless others who believe in a better world, Amara feels empowered to continue leading the charge for change. Thank you for staying with us until the end of this incredible journey. We hope this story touched your heart as much as it did ours. Please leave your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear what you think. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another powerful story like this. Your support means the world to us. Together, we can continue to inspire change and make a real difference in the world.